So people often ask, how are you doing? Now, I, like most people, default to the answer, I'm fine. Sometimes it's because I just don't want to share what's going on, or I don't want to share what I really think. And sometimes it's because I realize that the other person doesn't really want to hear it. If you ask me today, how are you doing? The truth is, I'm not fine. In fact, I'm far from it. You know, these last couple of years, it's been tough on everyone. It's been a time of stress and anxiety and uncertainty and fear. We've seen a rise in mental health struggles across the board. Now, for me, my challenges with mental health began just before the pandemic. In 2018, I accepted a job at a church here in Hong Kong. My family and I, we packed up and we moved from Canada in hopes that this was the next great opportunity for us. It was a tough transition, especially for my kids. After a couple months, I began to realize that I was just not a good fit with this church. And after 6 months, I decided it was time to resign. It was tough. It was a challenging time for me. And in fact, it began a mental health spiral. I laid on the couch for a month or two, just stuck with my own thoughts. Questions that would repeat and repeat and repeat. Why didn't things work out? Will I ever get another opportunity? How can I provide for my family? Have I ruined my kids? Have I damaged our family? And other questions like, where is God in all this? Why did he do this to me? But the worst part was seeing the sadness and disappointment on the face of my wife and children. I'd be laying on the couch or in bed in the morning when they left for school, and I'd be laying on the couch or in bed when they got home at the end of the day. I felt like such a loser. I even asked myself the question, would this family be better off without me? It was at that point that I knew depression had taken hold. That was my low point. So I finally listened to a few people in my life, and I reached out for help. I began to share my feelings and my story with friends, close friends, with my family. And I began to see a therapist to share my feelings and try and rebuild myself. I was also struggling with God and with my relationship with church in those times. And through the therapy and through the recovery process, I began to revisit that relationship and rebuild it. What I began to realize is that God was not the cause of my problems, but that he was an ally walking through my problems with me. You know, Psalm 23 in the Bible says this. It says, even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are at my side with your rod and your staff that give me courage. That's what I realized. I realized that God was at my side, and he was walking with me through the dark valleys. So, I'm not fine, but that's okay. My mental health journey is just that. It's a journey. And I'm happy as long as I'm moving forward, as long as I'm making progress, as long as I'm pressing on. I do see a little light at the end of the tunnel, and that gives me hope for the future. And I know some of you are not fine, and that's okay. We all have our challenges. We all have our struggles. We all face opposition. And if you're feeling overwhelmed, if your mental health is struggling, it's okay. But I want to encourage you, don't be ashamed of it. Don't hide from the people in your life. And don't be afraid to reach out for help. I know there's someone in your life who just wants to walk alongside you, who wants to love on you as you face these challenges. You just need to reach out and be honest about your story. And I wholeheartedly believe there's a God who wants to walk with you through the dark valleys. His promise is that he will be an ally with you. There is hope. I've found it, and I hope that you will too. God bless.